Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being part of our program. Here we are together again on the radio. Did you find that call interesting to listen to again? Maybe you hadn't heard it the first time. That complaint comes from women not just on this show, everywhere. TV talk shows, women's magazines, newspaper interviews. The phrase deadbeat dad is part of the vocabulary. Do you know that in Massachusetts, they actually publish billboards that appear mostly on the subway, which they call the T as in transportation. These are billboards on the subway or on buses. They look like wanted posters. And the pictures and names of so-called deadbeat dads are all over town. You know, I'm always amazed, as I said to that caller, about women who pick bad men, irresponsible men, jerks, a-holes, people who can't keep their lives together, druggies, alcoholics, bipolar individuals, violent individuals, and somehow they get some kind of sexual thrill out of being with these bad guys. Later on, of course, getting slapped around gets old. Later on, having to go out and support him as well as yourself gets old, and your kid, that gets old. But in the beginning, it's very exciting being with one of those guys, right, girls? Sure, you love it. And later on, you hate the guy for all the reasons you loved him in the first place. All the things that turned you on suddenly make you angry. Then you love to complain about deadbeats. I've got a simple message for women who have a problem with deadbeat dads. Stop having sex with deadbeats. You can tell who the deadbeats are and who they aren't. If you're too young and stupid to know a deadbeat when you see one, how about you stick a cork in it? How about you put a coil in there? How about you take a pill? How about you get some of those rods under your arm? You know what I'm talking about? How about a little depot shot? How about you do something to prevent the human Xerox machine from going into the print mode until you're old enough and mature enough to tell who's a deadbeat and who isn't? If you can't look at a guy who rides a beat-up motorcycle or a musician who's sleeping on your couch, or a guy who's had 300 girlfriends, if you can't look at these guys and tell that they're going to be deadbeat dads, I don't feel sorry for you. Every time I hear a woman complaining about a deadbeat dad, I just can't help but laugh. Most times you can tell who the deadbeats are. This comes from the female desire to be a helper, a fixer, a molder, a changer, a makeover artist. That's where it comes from. Poor drug addict, poor alcoholic. All he needs is a taste of me, and it's going to get all better. I'm going to fix him. I'm going to be the woman who fixes him. You've got to be kidding. And then that same guy, the same guy you were going to fix, and of course you inevitably fail, ultimately you start calling him a deadbeat. And the reason you call him a deadbeat is because, frankly, you had bad judgment. You were not able to see what kind of person you were procreating with. And now you are frustrated at your own failure, girls. You are. This whole idea of calling somebody a deadbeat. If you don't want a deadbeat dad, don't have sex with a deadbeat. That's pretty simple. Let's take me, for example. I tell you I don't want to have children. I will never want to have children. I tell you that. Okay? I tell everybody that. In fact, anybody who's ever heard me on the radio, if they know nothing else about me, they know I don't have children, I don't want to have children. Now, if you press ahead and have a child, after I told you I don't want to have a child, How dare you criticize me if I say I don't want to parent this child? I resent the idea of having to give you a check every month for that. Because I told you I didn't want it. Now, you could have said, I'm not going to have sex with you. I'm only going to have sex with guys who want to be fathers. You could have said, you know, I'll have sex with you, but I'm going to use the proper precautions. But if you go ahead and decide you need to fix me, because what I really need in my life is a family. What I really need in my life is you and your magic vagina. If you decide to do that, why would you be surprised and therefore call me a deadbeat or a jerk if then I tell you I don't want to pay you and I don't want to assist you in raising this child because I told you I didn't want it? I'm not a deadbeat. You're an idiot if you have a child under those circumstances. If I inadvertently impregnate you, you'd be stupid not to get an abortion or have some RU-486 treatment or get a morning after pill or whatever. You'd be a fool. And I could only laugh if you try to call me a deadbeat. Now, by the way, you know, I've got too much to lose in life, so I would do what is legally required. But if you went ahead and decided that I needed to be a parent against my will, and then I don't participate, what are you going to do? Go on Oprah and say how cold I am and how I don't want to know my kid? I told you in advance that's how I am. If I tell you what I am, or if my behavior makes it obvious what I am, your failure to make me over, in my view, doesn't give you the right to call me a jerk or a deadbeat. Doesn't that just make sense?
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866.
Hit it, hit it, hit it, quit it.
The Tom Leykis Show.
Tom Leykis Show. I'm 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. This is Jenna on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello?
Is that a question or a statement?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to know why you're being so much a part of the problem as opposed to part of the solution.
I'm not part of the problem. I don't owe any child support to anybody.
No, but there's obviously a problem. You've already stated that. There's a problem with these women, as you say. They're stupid and on and on and on. And by you adding to it and putting all of this negativity into it, you're adding to the problem.
Oh, I'm putting negativity. So this was just a lovely, positive situation.
No.
And I'm the one putting negativity into it. The whole child support thing, everybody was blissfully happy until the Tom Leykis Show came on the air.
That's my point. It was not. It was not a good situation. Anybody that calls or obviously that has it isn't a deadbeat.
I'm just telling the truth about it, that's all.
Well, wait, you're telling...
If you have sex with a deadbeat, you're going to have a baby with a deadbeat dad. That's what happens.
No, you're telling your truth not based on experience. You have no children.
That is the truth. I don't need to have children to know what that's all about.
Do you have any experience? There's so many variables.
Experience with what?
There's so many variables.
Like what?
Like, deadbeat dads don't always start off as deadbeat dads.
No, yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
You're telling me?
They do. They are deadbeats of all kinds. You know what? That's a character flaw, and it is a character flaw that any sane, rational person who is not being ruled by his hormones can see. I can tell you who the deadbeats are. I can walk into any bar, and I can look at these guys, and I can tell you who will be a deadbeat and who will live up to his obligations.
I think that is a fabulous attribute, and you should do something to help others. The fact that you...
I'm helping you. If you see a deadbeat, if you see a drug addict, an alcoholic, a guy who is chronically unemployed, a guy who doesn't pay his bills on time, doesn't live up to his commitments, a guy who is a bad person who you want to make over because you're a woman and you like making guys over, don't have a baby with a guy like that.
Well, now it doesn't... There are many situations that don't start off with wanting to make anybody over. And that person...
Oh, please. There are very... As a matter of fact, there are very few women who don't want to make men over.
Oh, I'm one, and I've been one for a very long time.
I don't care if you're one, dear. I'm talking about the fact that there are very few.
But I have a deadbeat dad right now.
Well, again, he probably had all kinds of issues before you had a baby with him.
In regards to wanting a baby and being responsible and taking care of it, no, none. However, that changed.
Oh, yes, it changed. He was completely responsible, and one day he became irresponsible.
He was responsible in regards to his child and his what would be considered in the lines of legal responsibilities. Where that went off to and what his reasoning was, I don't care. I didn't stay around to find out. I was gone by the time my son was a year old.
A year old. So this was a perfect individual. You were perfectly happy, perfectly in love. No, and then 1 year and 9 months before your child was a year old, suddenly things got bad. The minute the sperm hit the egg, bam, things went wrong.
Well, no, it actually wasn't like that.
Oh, I'm sure it wasn't.
There are many people. I got pregnant on a diaphragm, and I was 3 months pregnant with twins before I found out. And they said, if you have an abortion, you're taking a chance that you may never have children again. There is that small chance. I wasn't willing to take that chance, okay? However, it doesn't take away. You're not looking at the variable. Like when you say, if you decide to sleep with a man, if I tell you I don't want children and you go ahead and do it, well, now, wait a second. What about the responsibility for your actions? You don't want children. That's correct, and I understand that, and I agree with that. It's your choice. However, you want something else. And the consequence of that action might then result in a child.
Well, again, as I have said, I live up to my legal responsibilities. I've got an 800-plus FICO score. If I am forced to write a check to you for that 30 seconds of ejaculation, I'll do what I'm legally required to do. But I won't be playing basketball with your son. It's not going to happen.
You can't have over an 800 score. That's 800.
Yeah, actually, yes, actually, you can.
Well, I'm a realtor, so I deal with...
I'm telling you, dear, you can have up to an 850 FICO score. And I have an over 800 FICO score.
Well, you know what? You obviously have something...
Why don't you run a check on me and see?
You should share this information on how...
I'm sharing information with people right now.
You should share...
A man's a deadbeat. Don't have a baby with him.
You should share with them how to achieve that, as opposed to degrade...
If a man tells you, I don't want to have a baby, don't be having a baby with him.
The other woman that hung around for 2 years and got beaten out over all that horrible stuff, and I'm sure there's lots more horrible
stuff. You can't have a victim without you can't have a predator without a willing victim. You can't.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
Both people are sick and both people need help. And until in this country we stop having this mentality that women are delicate little flowers and poor little victims and innocent and naive, and men are big bad wolves, big bad predators who take advantage of delicate little flowers, until we get to the point where we realize both individuals are sick and they both need help. We are never going to fix that problem. Ever.
I agree with you, but as opposed to taking that person who's already, their self-esteem has been so weakened, and yes, they did allow it. You have to be willing to be a victim.
Right.
As opposed to taking that person's self-esteem and saying, you're stupid, you're a bitch, you're a whore, why not say, you know what, seek some help. Give them a phone number where they might...
Again, you're expecting these guys who are louts in the beginning to suddenly be sensitive and caring individuals. And you know as well as I do that many of these women who've grown up in abusive households seek out bad guys in leather jackets, on motorcycles, guys who can't stay employed, guys who are drunks, guys who are druggies. They seek these guys out, and then they try to fix them. And then when they can't fix them, they suddenly complain that they're deadbeats. And I'm sick of hearing about it.
I don't think that is always the case.
I didn't say the word always. I'm talking about, generally speaking, that's generally the case. Then there are exceptions like you, of course, who have the wisdom of the ages. But generally speaking, that's what's going on here.
But you know what? I'm in a position that I'm getting just as screwed as that other woman.
So what?
If I put my foot down, it wouldn't matter.
If what are you talking about?
If he's got more money than me and he can pay better lawyers than me, he's going to screw me, just to screw me.
I would do it too.
Why?
Because if you had a baby against my will, if you had a child after I clearly had no interest in having one, I would spend as much of my resources as necessary making sure you got none of my resources.
But that's not legally what the law says.
No, well, again, dear, you have a right to due process, and that means you have a right to hire good attorneys and go to court as many times as necessary and allowed by law.
I think that's just so horrible for two human beings to do.
Well, I would say you should really think twice, 3 times, and 4 times before you have a baby with a particular man. At least I announce to the whole world what kind of person I am before anybody thinks about having a baby with me.
Yeah, at least you have that going for you.
That's right. I'm telling you right now, if you had my baby, I would spend, you know what, I'd spend everything down to zero to make sure you didn't get anything.
But at least give it the benefit of that most of these guys do not do that. They lure them in.
No, stop with the luring them in thing. They are willing participants. These women are willing participants.
Yes, they're willing participants, but it's based on...
Not a lot of luring involved.
It's based on a fallacy that is being presented to them.
Which fallacy?
The fallacy that a man is going to be loving, providing, wants the same things as the woman.
Well, again, if a woman wants a guy like that, she should pick a guy like that. Hang on a second. Chris, what do you want to say to Jenna?
Jenna.
Yeah?
I don't think you're the exception. I think you're part of the general cause. It's ridiculous to think. It's ridiculous to think that you found love in this man, that you're going to have a child with him, which is the biggest responsibility that you can have on the face of the earth, is raising a child. I know. I have two. I raised them willingly. Hang on. Wait a second. Let me finish my point. I feel so bad for your son. He's going to grow up to be a pussy, and he's going to need Tom. Will you please let him listen to Tom? He needs to listen to Tom, because if his dad isn't a part of his life, it's horrible. And it's basically your fault.
His dad is a part of his life, and his dad got him hooked up in this entire anger thing. I'm driving back from San Diego because I had to take my son to San Diego to court for a felony he was facing. Not for being a pussy, but for serious bodily injury to another person.
But you see, this is when I say that single mothers are raising the carjackers of the future. There you go. Case closed.
Absolutely right. Tom, you're always right.
He lived with his father for 8 years.
But who chose this guy to be the father? You.
Don't you get it?
That is correct, but this is not how he presented himself.
No, he was an upstanding individual. He was making $100,000 a year. He was a big man on campus.
Owned a house. All the things.
Always responsible.
Yeah,
he makes
always
more than $100,000 a year. Much more.
Then obviously what happened is you let yourself go, and he dumped you.
No, I left him. Before my son was a year old, I left him. And then I took care of my son alone. Amazing how he made
such a transformation in such a short period of time.
Tom, you know how big women get when they get pregnant?
Oh, yes, I do. I absolutely do.
Tom Leykis.
Tom Leykis?
Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM.
So everything men do is tied directly to whether they're going to get laid or not.
Tied directly to our members. Yeah, it is. Everything.
It's the Tom Leykis Show.
The Tom Leykis Show from Los Angeles at 1-800-5800-TOM. Tyler on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm okay.
Listen to this woman, Jenna. Is she still on?
No, she's gone now.
Okay. When you said that she's raising one of the future carjackers of America, thank you. I'm a special education teacher. I teach severely emotionally disturbed males.
Yeah.
Women like her are the problem because they create the criminals of the future. They screw these guys when they're young. You know, they meet the roadies in the band, the drug addicts, the convicts, and then they pop out a kid who's just as screwed up or 2 times as screwed up as him. And then they sit in the meeting while the kid curses at me, the kid tears up my room, starts fires in the classroom, and she sits there, I don't know what the problem is. I do my best. I'm sitting there, thinking to myself, lady, when is your job as a mother going to begin? Because I'm sick and tired of women like her pointing fingers at people like me saying, oh, you know what? It's the man's fault, not me. Not me. I just spread my legs.
Right.
So thank you.
I left him when the kid was a year old. But you know what? If you knew that far back that the guy was a deadbeat, why did you even have a baby with him?
Unless we can all just say, you know what? She doesn't know any better and she's stupid. Because if that's the case, hey, that's fine. If she's willing to just say, you know what, Tom, I'm stupid, I didn't know any better, then great. Then you know what? Enough said.
I agree with you on that, Tyler. This is Nick on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Dad.
How you doing, son?
Very well. Haven't seen you around the house. You still going out with Mom?
Yeah. You know what? Last time I saw Mom, I think all I saw was the back of her head.
Okay. Tom, let me ask
you. My handprint on her ass.
let me ask you a question, Tom. She'd appreciate that. So would I.
I think I was pulling her hair, too.
It seems to me, years ago, pro-lifers and, all sorts of the right wing, they could say to women, they could basically make babies sort of punitive damage for having sex. They could say to you, well, you did the deed, now you have to pay the price. You never hear that sort of argument against women and anymore, but now it seems it's totally okay for them to come on the air and say, oh, you had that 20 minutes, half an hour satisfaction, now you have to pay the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
But you never hear that being said to women anymore. How did that shift happen?
Well, that's a good question. Well, women are never responsible for anything. Whatever goes wrong in a woman's life, it's a man's fault. It's the ex-husband's fault. It's the ex-boyfriend's fault. It's never the fault of a woman. Women have all the prerogatives, all the choices in life. Women have the right to choose, and it's not just abortion. They have the right to choose about everything, whether they're going to work, whether they're going to stay home, whether they're going to go to school, whether they're not, whether they're going to take time off from work and come back in 2 years, whether they're going to work straight through and put the kid in daycare. I mean, women have the choices. You know what choice we have? Here's what choice we have. We have to stay in school until we get every last degree. Then we chain ourselves to a desk, and we stay there until we're dead. And all we do is we end up as sperm donors and human wallets for women to realize their dreams.
It's a damn shame we're picking up all the pieces all the time, Tom.
No, and I know it, Nick. Thank you. Jonathan on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
How you doing, Tom?
I'm okay.
All righty. I've been listening for the last 3 days because I'm always stuck in traffic, right?
Uh-huh.
And I've been biting my lip because I think probably, my opinion, 99.9% of women are stupid. And I'll explain why.
All right.
Okay?
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, I met this hot chick at the supermarket. Started BSing with her, everything. 2 nights later, I went over her house, wild sex. Then it dawns on me, I'm like, wait a second. She doesn't work. She drives a $100,000 car. And then after the fact, I was asking her, I'm like, all right, thinking in my head, all right, she's probably a stripper. No problem. We all love strippers. So, talking to her, and then she's like, well, I got to be honest with you. I kind of have a guy, okay? I kind of have a guy who pays all my bills, okay? Now, and I'm like, and I'm thinking, I don't care. I don't care what you say. It doesn't matter to me. I already had sex with you.
Yeah.
So, but she's not letting me in on everything. So I'm thinking, she may have a few guys. But the best part was we're having sex afterwards. She says, it's okay. You can, because I'm on the pill. And I'm like, I don't care if you're on it and then there's 100 pills in front of me. I'm still using my condom because I trust zero women.
Right.
Zero.
Right.
Because it's a trap. It's the same situation. I got a friend of mine. He knocked up this girl, so they had to get married. And he's such a schmuck. He goes a year later and he has another kid with her. Now he's getting divorced. He's like, I don't love her. I'm like, you're stupid. I said, all these guys, Tom, are so weak. They need to tell their women to shut up. Yep. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If you can understand my drift. It's just like last night I'm listening to this girl on the phone with you around like 6-ish, and she was talking about how the guys should have to pay her because her vagina is that good. Yeah. And I'm like, they're all the same. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And the ones who say it's so good are the ones that lay there like dead fish and do nothing.
That's right.
And
you're lucky to even be here with me.
Mm-hmm. And, all my friends, they call me Bono in L.A.
Uh-huh.
That's my nickname. I've called him before, and I've been calling in the last 3 nights because it's just like I'm listening to the crap that these women say, and it's just like, you know what? Shut your mouth, cook, clean, have sex, and don't talk to me afterwards, And it's just, I don't know, it irritates me. I get a sick feeling in my stomach because these women, they try and trap these guys, and these guys are so stupid that they let them trap.
Check this out. I'm so glad you're having this topic. I just want to make a quick announcement to all these dumb bitches out there. Dumb bitches, please, stop getting knocked up by these guys. Minimum of 4 or 5 years. don't marry them, and especially don't have their freaking kid. All these women, they lay up, they don't work, they don't go get an education, but they want to have babies out of wedlock in order to keep a relationship going. They want to stay with abusive men because who knows why. And then they have babies with abusive guys. I feel sorry for a lot of these guys that get trapped into these relationships with these girls. I especially feel sorry for how the system is ran, where women get the better end of the deal 9 times out of 10 in a divorce, when sometimes I don't think they deserve it. I personally, I'm not married, I don't have babies, but I don't think that if a man and a woman, they get a divorce, that the man should be obligated to give up the house and give her alimony. Sure, if you have kids by her, take care of your children, but that's about it. Also, the woman, Jenna, who's on the phone, it's women like her who create the future male pussified guys of the world and create these needy, vindictive women of the world. I've heard you say on your show that you don't date American women.
Right.
I don't blame you, okay? I'm American. The choices that you have these days, it's sad. These women, they don't work. They just want guys to take care of them. And I think to myself, what do you do when the looks fade and then you can't get a guy to pay your bills? What do you do after that when you're 35, 40, maybe 50 years old? You can't get a job because you have no skills. You don't have an education. Maybe you have a ton of kids. And like you said before, there aren't that many well-to-do guys that want to take on another man's baggage. So I often wonder the mentality of some of these women. You'd be surprised the amount of guys that I meet on a day-to-day basis, and when they try to pick me up or talk to me, they ask me, do you have babies? And I'm like, hell no, I don't have no kids. They're shocked. They can't believe that I'm a single black woman with no kids.
Well, you know there aren't many of those around.
Oh, I know. And it makes me nauseous, you know. But then you'd be surprised. Guys will say to me, oh, you don't have any kids? Do you want one? Can I knock you up? And I'm thinking to myself, you dumb. Can I knock you out?
Tom Leykis Show. 1-800-5800-TOM. It's Michelle. Hello.
Hello, Tom?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm stuck in traffic, using up minutes I don't have. I am so fired up when I listen to these guys call in and what you guys are talking about today. You know, I listen to your show every day, and guys call in talking about putting more notches in their belt, this and that, yada, yada, yada. But when it comes down, you never hear any of them talking about using a condom. They're just expecting the girls to...
Well, why do you assume they all don't use condoms? I use a condom every time I have sex, 100% of the time.
Okay, you do, but when these guys call in...
Well, you don't know whether they do or they don't. Do they say they don't use condoms? I mean, they're not calling to talk about condoms. They're calling to talk about getting laid.
Right, and you know what? If you don't want to have a baby, the best way to do it is to use a condom.
I tell them to do that, and many of them do, and some of them don't.
Well, yeah, so they can't call in and be mad about...
Sure they can.
Women got pregnant if they don't want to take...
Well, condoms are not 100% effective, as you know.
Come on, they're more...
I have impregnated 4 women, and 3 out of the 4 times I did use a condom.
Okay.
They are not 100% effective. And all of these women were told before I ever had sex with them that I had no interest in having babies with them, no interest in raising children. They were told.
Birth control is not 100% either.
So, fortunately, because I discussed it with the 4 women I impregnated, I knew they would have an abortion if they got pregnant, and they all did, much to their credit. I want to thank them. I've saluted these women on the air before, and I salute them again for doing the right thing.
Yeah, but most of these guys who are calling in, they're not sitting down and asking, hey, you know, if we...
I don't know what they're doing, and you don't either. I don't know what they're doing, and you don't either. There you are, assuming they're not using condoms. For all you know, they might all be using condoms. You have no idea.
It's the Tom Leykis Show.